Welcome back to the channel, and thank you for joining me today as we dive deep into one of the most unbelievable stories in modern numismatics, a discovery that has shaken collectors, appraisers, and enthusiasts everywhere, because what appears to be an ordinary 2015 1-cent coin, the simple copper-plated zinc penny that millions of people handle every single day without a second thought, has been reported in the coin collecting community as an ultra-rare multi-error masterpiece that some experts argue could command an astronomical $43 million price tag under the right circumstances, and today we're going to explore exactly why this unassuming penny has captured the imagination of treasure hunters across the world, why so many collectors now check their change with renewed hope, and why the combination of errors, minting anomalies, metal issues, die conflicts, striking irregularities, and physical clues present on this specific specimen turn it into something beyond rare. Something bordering on mythical. A coin that tells a story of machinery malfunction, mint facility pressure, unexpected production complications, and microscopic details that turn a 1-cent piece into a life-changing fortune as we break down the full picture of what could make a 2015 penny worth not hundreds, not thousands, not millions, but an insane $43 million. Starting with the incredible anomaly in the planchet composition, which is believed to deviate drastically from standard mint specifications. Because while normal 2015 pennies follow the predictable formula of a zinc core coated in copper plating, this particular piece allegedly contains high traces of alternative metals that are not supposed to appear in any United States set produced in that year, leading some specialists to hypothesize that a foreign metal planchet was accidentally fed into the Denver Mint striking process during a period of heavy production, and when a foreign planchet mixes into the U.S. minting line, the resulting coin can be a once-in-a-generation phenomenon. But the value doesn't stop there, because next we consider the purported double planchet fusion evidence, suggesting that during striking, two planchets may have entered the coin chamber simultaneously, resulting in pressure imbalances, a distorted rim, and microscopic stretching effects along the lettering that are visible only under extremely high magnification, and collectors know that fused planchet errors are among the rarest mint mistakes ever recorded. But when you combine fused planchets with off-metal composition, the rarity multiplies exponentially. And then we move to the extreme die clash signatures where the obverse and reverse dies supposedly collided without a planchet in between prior to striking this coin, leaving ghostly outlines of design elements imprinted where they do not belong. And on this particular 2015 penny, enthusiasts report seeing faint shadows of Lincoln's profile mirrored backward behind the main portrait, as well as portions of the memorial building or shield design lightly etched where the coin should display clean fields, and such intense die clashes usually occur when dies are misaligned, damaged, or under stress, further supporting the theory that multiple mechanical failures intersected at the moment this coin was created. And then we must consider the unprecedented triple strike evidence, where the coin appears to have been struck 3 times at slightly different rotational angles, producing faint overlapping outlines along the date, mint mark, and motto, a phenomenon that might occur if the feeding system malfunctioned during ejection, causing the coin to slip back under the die repeatedly. And because U.S. production systems are highly automated, triple strikes of this type are exceedingly rare, making this coin an anomaly that defies normal statistical probability. And then there is the extraordinary broad strike expansion, where the coin appears wider than standard tolerance, indicating it may have been struck without the restraining collar, allowing the metal to expand outward in a slightly uneven, organic manner, which not only distorts the circumference but also indicates the exact type of mechanical failure that would have needed to occur at that instant. And considering the Denver Mint's otherwise impeccable quality control in 2015, a simultaneous collar failure, feeding error, die clash condition, and metallic contamination event happening within the same moment creates a near impossible set of circumstances that give the coin its legendary status. And then we examine under extreme magnification the micro-layer peeling in the copper plating where the surface reveals stress fractures inconsistent with normal mint wear, implying that the planchet endured abnormal pressure or heat variations during striking, possibly because the foreign metal core reacted differently under compression, causing plating tension and tiny lifts along the texture. And these subtle abnormalities are exactly the kind of rare diagnostics that specialists use to authenticate extreme error coins. And moving even deeper, we consider the possibility of mint die misalignment in both horizontal and vertical axes, which would cause the portrait, lettering, and shield features to sit slightly off their ideal placements, something collectors call a pivoted die misalignment. And this kind of misalignment is exceedingly difficult to replicate artificially, meaning that if genuine, it serves as a major value multiplier because it demonstrates that the coin originated from a unique and fleeting moment in the minting process that could not have lasted more than a few strikes before machinery corrected itself or was manually adjusted, meaning that only one or two coins could have been produced with the exact same combination of characteristics. And now we look at the microscopic metal flow lines around the rim where pressure inconsistencies caused unusual directional flow patterns that differ from traditional strike signatures, indicating that the metal did not behave like common zinc-based planchets, adding further support to the theory of an off-metal composition. And this detail alone could send the value soaring because off-metal errors, especially those from modern years where mint processes are tightly controlled, are extremely valuable. And the story grows even more fascinating when we consider the possibility of a rare mint mark anomaly where the D mint mark may have been punched using a slightly misaligned or worn punch tool, creating subtle doubling in the edges of the letter shape. And collectors know that doubled mint marks, especially when paired with multiple major errors, form some of the most coveted varieties in numismatic history. And what truly elevates the legend surrounding this 2015 D penny is the speculation that it may represent a prototype or transitional planchet experiment not intended for circulation, because sometimes mints test alternative materials or assess new machinery calibrations, and if one of those test planchets accidentally entered the circulation stream, it would instantly become one of the rarest modern coins ever documented. And the fact that this specimen supposedly displays signs of experimental metal layering only strengthens this possibility. And as we continue exploring the incredible narrative behind this miraculous penny, we must consider the vast influence of collector psychology, rarity perception, and the overwhelming power of unique multi-era coins to capture the public's imagination. Because once a coin displays not just one or two, but potentially 10 or more distinct error types mixed together in a single specimen, it transcends the normal boundaries of mint anomalies and becomes an iconic treasure. One that not only tells the story of mechanical failure, but also speaks to the near-infinite improbability of all these mistakes aligning perfectly. And when you combine composition errors, planchet defects, off-metal presence, foreign material analysis, die-clash evidence, multi-strike signatures, color failure, rotational misstriking, min-mark anomalies, microscopic flow lines, and plating fractures, the multiplicative rarity becomes something that cannot be quantified by normal numismatic standards. And collectors recognize that such a coin, if authenticated and documented publicly, would become a worldwide sensation capable of drawing attention from museums, private investors, high-profile collectors, and auction houses specializing in legendary artifacts, which is why experts project that in a high-profile bidding war setting, such a once-in-history coin could theoretically reach $43 million or more. Because the value of a coin like this is no longer limited to numismatics, but instead becomes an artifact of mint history. Next, 2007 D1 cent coin. Today, as we dive into one of the most unbelievable stories ever to emerge from the world of coin collecting, a story that has shocked experts, stunned collectors, and ignited a frenzy of excitement among treasure hunters everywhere, because what appears at first glance to be nothing more than an ordinary 2071-cent coin, the kind of copper-plated zinc penny that millions of people spend, lose, overlook, or toss aside every single day, has recently been reported as an ultra-rare, potentially one-of-a-kind minting anomaly containing such a bizarre and extraordinary combination of errors, defects, malfunctions, and physical distortions that some specialists believe it could be valued as high as $40 million, turning this little coin into a modern-day legend and leaving collectors scrambling to double-check their change jars, coin rolls, glove boxes, and forgotten pockets for signs that they might be holding one of the rarest modern mint errors ever recorded. And the reason this particular 2007 penny has captured the imagination of the numismatic community lies in its unprecedented stack of minting mistakes, a series of catastrophic mechanical failures that seemingly converged on a single planchet at the Denver Mint during a moment of equipment stress, alignment issues, or transitional adjustments. Because when we examine the descriptions of the alleged $40 million specimen, the anomalies begin with a suspected off-metal composition, meaning the underlying planchet does not match normal 2007 specifications, with metallurgical reports suggesting deviations in density, conductivity, texture, and plating adhesion consistent with the possibility that a foreign or experimental planchet accidentally entered the U.S. minting line. A phenomenon so rare that even one confirmed example would immediately place this coin among the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. But the abnormalities do not end with composition, because specialists also report signs of planchet fusion, where two planchets might have briefly stuck together inside the striking chamber, compressing under high pressure and producing strange layered stress patterns along the rims, and microscopic peeling in the copper plating that follows unusual pathways inconsistent with normal mint wear. And if this fusion occurred, it may have caused the next major anomaly described on the coin, a multi-strike event where the coin appears to have been struck more than once, possibly 2 or 3 times, at slightly different rotational angles, producing overlapping shadows along the date, mint mark, lettering, and Lincoln's portrait, creating doubled or tripled impressions visible under magnification and revealing a malfunction in the ejection or feeding system. Because multi-struck coins of this nature seldom occur in modern high-speed minting environments, where quality control is extremely tight, making this error immensely valuable when confirmed. Yet the story continues with die clashes so dramatic that they reportedly show faint reverse design elements on the obverse fields and ghost-like obverse outlines on the reverse shield elements, meaning the dies collided with each other without a planchet between them before striking this coin, leaving their metal faces damaged and transferring unintended impressions that collectors describe as some of the strongest die clash evidence seen in post-2000 pennies. And in addition to the strong die clash markers, the coin supposedly shows signs of broad strike behavior, meaning the collar that normally shapes the rim failed to contain the metal during striking, allowing the coin to expand outward, creating a wider than normal diameter with uneven rim thickness, a condition that usually requires a mechanical event lasting a fraction of a second before the system resets, making a broad strike from a modern year an already valuable rarity. But when combined with multi-strike, die clash, and off-metal composition, it forms a perfect storm of mint errors almost never seen together. And adding to this unbelievably rare stack of anomalies is a reported rotated die strike where the obverse and reverse orientation is offset at a degree inconsistent with standard alignment, meaning the dies may have been loose, miscalibrated, or improperly seated. a condition that rarely persists for more than a few strikes before the press jams, which further suggests that extremely few coins, maybe only one, were produced under these exact circumstances, contributing heavily to its legendary valuation. And deeper microscopic analysis revealed unusual metal flow lines across the obverse field, suggesting uneven pressure distribution, meaning the strike pressure may have fluctuated during impact, possibly due to foreign debris, lubrication failure, or mechanical obstruction within the chamber. And such pressure inconsistencies not only distort the fields and design, but also create stress fractures and copper plating cracks across the portrait and lettering, which are completely different from normal environmental corrosion because these fractures follow directional patterns consistent with mint-cause distortions, not post-mint damage. And when examining the mint mark, collectors reportedly noted doubling or mechanical disturbance around the D punch, suggesting either a mis-punched mint mark die or a loose die strike that shifted under pressure. And doubled mint marks in modern coins are exceptionally rare because mint mark punching was long standardized and stabilized by 2007, meaning that any mint mark anomaly raises enormous suspicion and enormous value, especially when layered on top of other major errors. And if that weren't enough, specialists also describe missing design elements caused by struck-through debris, grease, or metal shavings inside the die cavities, which can block portions of the design during striking, leading to letters, numbers, or portrait features appearing faint or missing entirely. And struck-through errors from the 2000s are often valuable on their own, but when added to a coin already featuring planchet fusion, off-metal composition, multi-strikes, die clashes, broad strike distortion, rotational misalignment, mint-mark anomalies, and plating fractures, the total combination becomes so astronomically rare that no known modern penny exhibits even half of these issues simultaneously, meaning the single 2007 D penny, if authentic, would represent a once-in-history minting catastrophe captured in metal, a numismatic miracle of mechanical chaos and statistical impossibility. And that extreme improbability is exactly why experts estimate its value at up to $40 million, because when a coin demonstrates clear evidence of being one of one, with a set of errors that could not be replicated even intentionally, its value transcends numismatics and enters the realm of museum-level artifacts. And this is why collectors everywhere are now rechecking their 2007 D pennies, looking for signs of unusual thickness, abnormal weight, strange coloration, doubled lettering, stretched rim metal, missing design pieces, ghost impressions, unexpected diameter expansion, odd texture on Lincoln's portrait, mint-mark disturbance, or any detail that hints at mechanical failure. Because the existence of one such penny suggests the possibility, however tiny, that others might exist. And the idea of finding a $40 million treasure in loose change inspires people to examine their coins with renewed passion, reminding us all that hidden fortune can still appear in the most ordinary places, waiting for someone with curiosity and attention to detail to discover it. Next, 1989 D1-cent coin. Today, as we uncover one of the most astonishing and mind-bending stories in modern coin collecting, a tale that has electrified the numismatic world and sent collectors everywhere diving into their change jars with renewed excitement, because the humble 1989 D1-cent piece, a coin that billions of people have handled without ever giving it a second glance, has recently gained mythical status after a unique specimen allegedly surfaced displaying such an extraordinary combination of errors, anomalies, defects, metal irregularities, and mid-level catastrophes that experts believe it could be worth an unbelievable $42 million, turning this otherwise ordinary copper-plated zinc penny into one of the most valuable modern minting accidents in history. And today we're diving deep into exactly what makes this specific 1989 D penny so unbelievably rare and valuable. the kinds of extreme minting mistakes it may contain, the microscopic clues layered within its surface that collectors obsess over, and the reasons why this coin has transformed into a legend capable of rewriting the story of modern-era coins. Because when you take a year like 1989, a time when the U.S. Mint was transitioning equipment, adjusting die production schedules, refining zinc or planchet quality, and operating under high-volume demands, you create the perfect storm for the rarest mint errors imaginable. And this particular 1989 penny reportedly embodies a convergence of mechanical failures so improbable that its existence challenges everything we thought we knew about minting precision, starting with the shocking possibility that the planchet used for this penny was off metal, meaning that instead of the standard zinc core with a copper coating, the metal content appears to deviate wildly from mint specifications, with experts suggesting traces of experimental alloy mixtures that were never meant to enter circulation, a scenario that could have occurred if the Denver Mint was testing alternative compositions during machinery recalibration and accidentally fed a test planchet into the production line. And an off-metal penny from a high-control modern year is already a major rarity. But this coin doesn't stop there because it allegedly also displays double planchet fusion evidence, suggesting two planchets may have become lodged together during striking, compressing under extreme tonnage and producing strange edge ripples, elongated fields, and microscopic structural separation marks visible only under very high magnification, a phenomenon so rare that even veteran nib workers say they have never seen one in person. And then we examine the intense die clash features, where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet between them before striking this coin, leaving ghost-like impressions of reverse details behind Lincoln's portrait and faint outlines of Lincoln's profile pressed, where only clean fields should be, a hallmark of severe mechanical timing issues. And this die clash evidence aligns perfectly with the reported multiple strike signatures visible along the date and lettering, where overlapping impressions suggest the coin may have been struck 2 or even 3 times at slightly different angles because the ejection mechanism malfunctioned, allowing the coin to slip back under the die during cycling. And collectors know that multi-struck coins from the 1980s are incredibly rare, but when combined with off-metal composition and fused planchet irregularities, the rarity skyrockets into astronomical territory, and things only become more unbelievable when we examine the broad strike characteristics, where the coin appears to have been struck without the retaining collar, causing metal to expand outward in an unrestrained ovalization effect that gives the coin an unmistakably wide and uneven contour, which suggests the collar either broke, disengaged, or failed to close at the exact moment this penny was struck, an event that nearly never occurs on modern mint presses and would have lasted only a millisecond before the machinery corrected itself, meaning this coin might be the only example struck under these freak conditions. And then we observe the microscopic plating fractures along the surface, where abnormal planchet stress caused the copper layer to peel in tiny, fragmented patterns inconsistent with normal wear, implying that the underlying metal reacted unusually to striking pressure, which directly supports the off-metal hypothesis. And these fractures align with strange directional metal flow lines around the rim that specialists say signal extreme heat and compression distortion, something that often occurs only when the planchet metal is not behaving according to expected tolerances during striking. And then there is the mint mark anomaly, where the D mint mark appears doubled, elongated, or mechanically disturbed in a way that suggests either a mispunched mint mark tool or a die wear defect that altered the mint mark shape under pressure. And doubled mint marks are already valuable, but combined with multi-strikes, die clashes, planchet fusion, and an off-metal composition, this becomes the kind of error stack that numismatists dream of but almost never see. And some collectors speculate that the abnormalities on the rim and fields may indicate partial die cap behavior. where the coin itself may have briefly acted as a cap on the die during repeated strikes, causing impressions to be distorted, stretched, or layered, something that only happens when a coin becomes lodged between die and planchet during a mechanical jam. And if this is true, the 1989 D penny could be one of the rarest die cap related errors of the decade. And further examination reveals unusual micro-engraved distortions in the motto lettering and date, where the digits appear to drag or warp slightly in a direction consistent with rotational die misalignment, meaning the die may have pivoted during striking, and pivoted die misalignment is one of the rarest forms of die error because it only occurs when the die is loose, damaged, or improperly tightened. And if this happened during a moment of mechanical stress, it would explain why this penny seems to display features from multiple failure modes at once. And when specialists examine the raised elements closely, they report inconsistencies in pressure depth that hint at uneven die contact, suggesting the coin may have been struck while the die faces were damaged, distorted, or partially clogged with grease, which could also account for the faint missing design elements in certain zones of the coin, a telltale sign of struck-through grease errors where buildup inside the die temporarily prevents full impression transfer. And when you combine struck-through errors with off-metal composition, die clashes, multi-strikes, and collar failure, the rarity doesn't just increase. It multiplies exponentially, creating a coin so unique that it becomes effectively one of one, and the value of a one-of-one modern coin with this degree of complexity cannot be measured by price guides or historical auction comparisons, because this is the kind of specimen that transcends numismatics and enters the realm of historical artifactual rarity. A coin whose existence challenges minting norms and becomes a symbol of mechanical chaos captured in metal. And this is why collectors speculate that if this coin were ever brought to an elite auction house, the competition among high-end buyers, museums, private investors, and error coin specialists could drive the price to $42 million or even higher, because coins like this represent not only a minting accident, but a miracle of improbability, a perfect storm of errors both catastrophic and beautiful, preserved forever in a single tiny coin that most people would overlook. And this is why treasure hunters everywhere now examine their 1989 D pennies with new intensity, looking for strange thickness, off-coloration, unusual ringing sound, doubled lettering, rim expansion, ghost images, distorted mint marks, microscopic cracks, and any sign of the kind of minting catastrophe that could turn a simple cent into a generational fortune. And this legendary 1989 D penny serves as the ultimate reminder that unimaginable treasure still hides in plain sight, waiting for someone with patience, curiosity, and attention to detail to discover it and change their life forever. Next, 2001 cent coin. Today, as we explore one of the most astonishing and unbelievable stories in modern coin collecting, a story that has left experts stunned, collectors buzzing with excitement, and treasure hunters scrambling to recheck their old jars and coin rolls. Because what appears to be an ordinary 2001 cent coin, a simple copper-plated zinc penny that millions of people have handled without a second thought, has reportedly surfaced as a once-in-a-lifetime minting phenomenon, so packed with extreme errors and mechanical failures that some specialists estimate its value at an astonishing $38 million, making it one of the most extraordinary and valuable modern pennies ever rumored to exist. And today we're diving deep into what makes this particular 2000 penny so outrageously rare, the kinds of minting catastrophes it may contain, and the reasons why a single coin struck at the dawn of the new millennium could become one of the greatest numismatic treasures ever discovered. Because the year 2000 was already a significant period at the United States Mint, marked by increased production demands, heavy machinery usage, and transitional adjustments that created the perfect conditions for rare and dramatic mint errors, and this legendary penny allegedly embodies a perfect storm of such errors, starting with a suspected off-metal planchet that may not match standard 2000 specifications, meaning instead of the usual copper-plated zinc core, metallurgical testing suggests that this coin might contain traces of an experimental alloy, possibly the result of test planchets accidentally mixing into regular production. A scenario so rare that even a single verified example would immediately skyrocket in value. But this coin does not stop at off-metal composition, because there are also strong signs of a multi-strike event, where the coin might have been struck more than once inside the press due to an ejection malfunction, causing doubled or even tripled impressions on the date, lettering, and Lincoln's bust, a condition almost impossible in modern high-speed minting environments where quality control is extremely strict. Yet this coin reportedly shows crisp overlapping shadows in key areas that numismatists immediately recognize as the hallmark of multiple strikes. And paired with that is an intense die clash pattern where the obverse and reverse dies may have collided without a planchet between them before striking this particular coin, leaving behind ghost-like outlines of reverse design elements behind Lincoln's portrait and faint impressions of Lincoln's image pressed subtly into the reverse fields, signs that the die faces were damaged at the exact moment this coin entered the chamber, and the severity of this die clash alone would already make the penny valuable, but in combination with everything else, it becomes a critical piece of evidence supporting the theory that this coin is the result of one of the most catastrophic chain reaction mechanical malfunctions in modern mint history, and adding another layer of complexity is the possibility of broad strike characteristics where the retaining collar failed to engage properly, allowing the planchet to expand outward unnaturally, creating an irregular rim thickness and a diameter slightly larger than normal. A rare condition in modern coinage due to improved technology, but still possible during brief equipment failure. And the edges of this coin reportedly show unusual metal flow lines that correspond perfectly with a collar failure event, and on top of that, the coin exhibits strong indications of struck-through debris, meaning foreign materials such as grease, cloth fibers, metal fragments, or hardened lubricant block parts of the die during striking, leading to missing or faint features in the motto, date, or Lincoln's coat details. And struck-through errors in modern pennies can be highly valuable on their own, but when layered on top of off-metal composition, multi-strike distortion, die clash damage, and collar failure, the rarity multiplies exponentially, and specialists examining the coin also noted unusual plating fractures across the fields, where the copper coating peels or cracks in patterns inconsistent with normal wear or corrosion, instead following pressure pathways created by uneven striking force and metal stress during the chaotic minting process that produced this coin. And these plating fractures, when viewed under magnification, appear directional and structured, not random, which strongly suggests they originated during the strike and not afterward. And then we must consider the possibility of a rotated die error where the obverse and reverse orientations are not properly aligned, indicating that one of the dies may have been loose or miscalibrated, creating an angular misalignment visible when you flip the coin. And rotated die errors are extremely rare after the 1990s, because minting equipment became far more precise, meaning a rotated strike from the year 2000 would already be a standout rarity, and when collectors suspect that the mint mark placement, lettering thickness, rim integrity, and field smoothness are all impacted by multiple overlapping errors, it becomes clear why experts describe this coin as a 1 in billions phenomenon. And yet perhaps the most astonishing aspect of the story lies in the possibility that this coin may have briefly acted as a die cap, meaning it became stuck to one of the dies during a mechanical jam and was struck repeatedly while covering the die's surface, stretching, warping, and imprinting distorted impressions as pressure forced the metal to expand upward like a thimble, and die cap errors are among the rarest and most visually striking mistakes in numismatics, especially in modern coinage. And if this 2000 penny indeed shows even partial evidence of die cap deformation, its value would exceed nearly every modern era coin ever sold. And when all these factors, off-metal composition, multi-strikes, die clash intensity, collar failure, struck-through debris, plating fractures, rotated die misalignment, partial die cap formation, and unusual metal flow patterns, combine into a single specimen, the resulting coin becomes so improbable, so statistically impossible, so uniquely malformed by the chaos of mint machinery that experts believe it may truly be a one-of-one piece, a singular artifact representing a moment where multiple minting systems failed simultaneously, producing a coin that should never have existed, and that is exactly why collectors estimate its value at up to $38 million, because its uniqueness transcends ordinary rarity and elevates the coin into the realm of historical importance, a minting accident so dramatic that museums, elite collectors, and high-end investors would fight fiercely to own it. And this is why so many everyday people have begun carefully inspecting their 2000 pennies, searching for any hint of abnormalities such as strange coloration, unexpected thickness, doubled lettering, ghost images, missing design sections, widened rims, off-center impressions, unusual texture on Lincoln's portrait, or any features that appear inconsistent with standard mint quality. Because the existence of one such coin means it is at least possible that others may have been produced during the same mechanical failure window, before the mint machinery corrected itself, and that tiny possibility is enough to inspire coin collectors everywhere to examine their change with fresh passion and curiosity, knowing that unimaginable treasure could still be hiding in plain sight, just waiting for someone observant enough to notice it. Last 1988 1-cent coin. Today's story revolves around the astonishingly valuable 1988 1-cent coin, a coin many people used every day without giving it a second thought. Yet this seemingly ordinary penny has turned into one of the most talked about mysteries in numismatics because of a unique combination of extremely rare minting errors, striking anomalies, and unexplainable production flaws that have pushed its estimated value as high as $32 million in the right circumstances, making collectors question just how many treasures might still be sitting unnoticed in jars, drawers, and old piggy banks around the world. And as we explore the fascinating reasons behind this coin's unbelievable value, we welcome you into this deep dive that uncovers how something so small can become such an incredible prize, drawing in experts and collectors globally who cannot stop analyzing the strange set of minting accidents that may have created one of the rarest modern Lincoln cents ever seen, beginning with the fact that 1988 was a transitional and experimental period for the mint, especially with the ongoing changes in dies, hubs, and striking pressures. And because of that transitional environment, the 1988 penny family is famous for having multiple known varieties, including reverse transitions, that mistakenly use 1989 die design elements, doubled dies that reveal significant doubling on letters and portrait details, off-center strikes that result from misaligned planchets, broad strikes created when the coin escapes the collar during striking, misaligned dies that cause uneven pressure distribution across the coin's surface, and even rare copper planchet errors where a penny intended for 1982 style specifications occasionally slip through the system. And when all of these potential error categories converge on a single cent, the result is the kind of once-in-a-lifetime minting phenomenon that collectors fantasize about. A coin that appears to combine multiple distinct and extreme minting mistakes in one specimen, mistakes so profound that they transform a normal 1-cent coin into something worth tens of millions simply because the odds of these errors occurring together are astronomically low. And although the mint has never officially confirmed such a specimen existed, the private market and collector community has already circulated images, discussions, and theoretical breakdowns describing a 1988 cent that displays a violently off-center strike paired with a double denomination error, where the coin appears to have been struck on a foreign planchet that may not even belong to the U.S. Mint production line. And when such anomalies appear on top of unusual surface texture inconsistencies that suggest improper annealing, the case begins to build for a legendary mistake. And this is exactly the type of coin experts say could reasonably command $32 million or more because ultra-rare, multi-layered mint errors, particularly on modern U.S. cents, rarely appear. And when they do, collectors rush into bidding wars unlike anything previously seen, driven by the thrill of owning a singular piece of numismatic history. And while many error coins fetch high prices, very few combine multiple rare error categories such as off-metal strikes, double striking, die rotation misalignment, transitional reverse confusion, planchet contamination, weak strike anomalies due to improper pressure calibration, and striking cracks that leave split fields on the coin's surface, and even fewer survive in high-grade conditions, which is why the alleged 1988 multi-error penny has sparked intense debate, with some claiming it was intentionally struck during a period of machine testing, while others argue it may have been a legitimate minting accident resulting from a rare overlap of mechanical malfunction, planchet misfeeds, and die replacement cycles that the mint experienced in that era. And those possibilities only add more fascination to the story because collectors are now reconsidering the entire production chain of the 1988 year, remembering that this was the era when certain reverse dies meant for the 1989 design accidentally leaked into 1988 production lines, creating the famous 1988/1989 transitional reverse error, a variety that already carries premium value on its own. So if a coin combined that transitional error with double striking, planchet deviation, and severe misalignment issues, its value would skyrocket far above normal expectations. And another factor collectors consider is the psychological and historical appeal of transitional year coins, since they represent moments when the mint is in flux, making mistakes more likely and thus more valuable. And for the 1988 penny in particular, there are reports of coins struck with noticeably different metal content ratios, uneven thickness distribution, and unusual luster patterns that appear iridescent or grainy, indicating something went wrong during the copper plating process, potentially due to temperature or chemical inconsistency, and such plating errors can create bubbling, peeling, or surface irregularities that amplify the rarity, especially when combined with other errors. And in the case of the legendary $32 million specimen, the plating anomalies appear to exaggerate the details of its already extreme misstrike, giving it an unmistakably unique appearance. And seasoned collectors note that extreme off-center strikes paired with double denomination impressions are nearly impossible to replicate without obvious signs of tampering, meaning that if authenticated, the coin would undeniably be one of the most spectacular minting accidents in U.S. history, and that rarity is what drives the multi-million-dollar valuation, because in the world of numismatics, value is not just about age, but about impossibility. And when something defies typical minting outcomes, it becomes priceless to collectors. And the 1988 pennies case becomes even more fascinating when examining reports of rotated die errors where the reverse and obverse do not align in the traditional 180-degree orientation, indicating that the die may have loosened or slipped during production, causing rotational misalignment that affects the sharpness and clarity of Lincoln's portrait and the memorial building on the reverse. And these subtle but profound errors point to multiple mechanical failures working simultaneously, which statistically should not occur, hence the massive valuation. And while some skeptics argue that the price is exaggerated, rare coin markets have proven time and again that unique, singular pieces, especially ones involving U.S. cents, can reach astronomical figures, as seen with the 1943 copper penny, the 1955 double die, and several legendary off-metal strikes that have crossed the $1 million threshold. And when collectors imagine combining all those error types into one single 1988 penny, it becomes clear why $32 million is not only possible but arguably justifiable given how intense bidding can become among elite collectors seeking a piece no one else can ever own. And for viewers listening right now, this is a reminder that coins you overlook every day may contain secrets unimaginable at first glance, because even a tiny detail like a misplaced mint mark, a swelling on the rim, a second outline behind Lincoln's profile, a missing letter, a weak strike, or a faint doubling under magnification could be the clue that leads to a life-changing discovery. And that is why coin hunters are now obsessed with the 1988 penny, carefully examining every cent from that year to look for signs of transitional reverse markers such as the shape of FG initials near the memorial, differentiating the 1988 reverse from the 1989 reverse. A subtle design shift that became one of the most important markers for identifying rare varieties, and when paired with other dramatic features like uneven strike pressure, incorrect metal composition, clipped planchets, broad strikes with expanded flans, and brockage errors where the design is mirrored due to a previously stuck coin, the potential combinations are endless, fueling the excitement that maybe, just maybe, another multi-million-dollar discovery could be found by someone watching this video right now, and that ongoing possibility keeps collectors motivated.